Good evening, everyone. Welcome to ATL Prime Sports. It's another Monday and another Falcons blown loss. Last week it was the Braves. This week it's the Falcons. This is the third time the Falcons have done it this season. This time they lose to the Detroit Lions. JJ's with me on the other side of the ATL. Wayne, the producer. He is in Memphis. Guys, welcome to the show. Glad I could join you.
All right.
Good to be here.
It sure is. And just to let everybody know, you can reach us at ATL Prime Sports on Twitter. You can reach JJ at JJ Get You One, Wayne at RWY Jr., myself at Corder Todd. And also you can check us out on YouTube. 8:15 approximately, we'll have the voice of the Georgia State Panthers, Dave Cohen, coming on for a weekly Panther Talk chat. We'll talk about the 36-34 win over Troy and their upcoming game against 20th ranked Coastal Carolina.
Woo!
We'll also talk
the Chanticleers.
Yes, sir. We'll also talk about the potentially, and this is real potential, maybe what Deion Sanders does at Jackson State. Could he be head coach of the Falcons? And last, we'll talk about UGA and their upcoming game with Kentucky this week. And I have some interesting information, guys, on the line on this ball game. Some great history that you're going to enjoy. So, all right, Wayne, go ahead and take it away with the topics, my friend.
All right. Well, we're going to cover, Georgia State, voice of Georgia State. Dave Cohen's going to be coming on, and then we'll cover the Falcons going back to their form, and then we're going to cover, a pick six. And
we'll do the pick six at the end. Yep.
Right.
Yep.
All right. Well, let's go ahead and start off with that Falcons thing. Then they're returning to form, losing that game. And I got to tell you, they just let them come right down the field on them. What are y'all's thoughts on how that game ended up?
I'll let you go ahead and go first, JJ.
If you're going to let me accept it, I'll take defeat out of the jaws of victory for the Atlanta Falcons, shall we say. They managed to do it again, Wayne, as you said, in an epic fashion. Really, you see Todd Gurley getting in the end zone, and now he's apologizing for it, which I think is crazy. We'll get into that in a second. But again, Gurley goes in the end zone late. You think the Falcons have a shot regardless of the outcome. No, Matthew Stafford does what Matthew Stafford does, almost better than anybody in the world at fourth quarter comebacks. He's got 30 of them now, 36 game-winning drives. That's according to Pro Football Reference. Stafford did it again, guys. You left him too much time on the clock when Gurley crossed the goal line. Was that a coaching blunder or a player mistake, TC?
Well, there's no question about it. The player's the one that crossed the goal line. He's the one that made the mistake. The coaches told him not to go in the end zone. They never discussed it in the huddle, which is a major mistake. It's on the players. The players play, they catch, they run, they block, they tackle, they kick the ball. It's all on the players. Now, of course, you can blame a little bit on the coaches for maybe not emphasizing it in the huddle, but these guys are grown adults. They blew it. Very little. This ball game was blown. Look, we've gotten rid of Dan Quinn. He's gone now. You can't use the coaching anymore. You've gotten rid of him. It was all Dan Quinn.
There's still a coach on the field.
It doesn't matter.
There's still an NFL coach on the field.
Everybody, their mother said.
I hear what you're saying. I'll let you finish up before I get in.
No, go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead. No, go ahead.
If you want to say that it's on the players, by all means, but look at the Falcons roster. They have done so much on the offensive side of the ball. Matt Ryan's leading the league in passing. Todd Gurley's sixth in the NFL in rushing yards, first in rushing touchdowns. That's not the problem. The defense is the problem. That's on coaching too. They fired the coach. They got a new one in. Now, here's the deal. You want to talk to Raheem Morris and listen to what he had to say after the game? He told them they were not trying to score. So, in instance, go back in history and time. What happened at the Miracle at Meadowlands? They ran the ball. That backfired on them, didn't it? Guess what? Let's flash back to Saturday night in the college level. Penn State scored, and the same scenario happened. They got beat. Doesn't fare well for you to do that. Now, take it to the pro level. Why would you put your players in a position to do that? As a running back, he's trying to score. He scored more than any running back in the NFL since he's come into the league, by the way. Why would you put, as a coach, with I want to curse right now, I'm so upset, with prior NFL head coaching experience that says in the post-game press conference, Todd, we're trying to score. In that scenario, in that picture box, why would you put your player in a position to score? I credit Detroit for actually covering up, like they're going to tackle him, playing like they're going to bring him to the ground, and him breaking free and getting in the end zone. I credit Detroit on that. But as a coach, you take 3 knees. It's 1st and goal. Detroit has no timeouts. You kneel the ball, you put it in the center of the field if you're going to run it, and you cover up the ball. And guess what? The worst defense in the NFL is cut out of the scenario. Todd Gurley running into the end zone, which he does quite naturally, like I have put in the picture frame there, better than anybody's done it since he's been in the league. Why, as a coach, would you put your players in the position to lose the game when that's your job? To put the players in position to win best. He didn't do that.
Well, here's the scenario. You had a couple plays to run the ball. You can run the ball and get close, much closer. Get as close as you want for a chip shot field goal.
25-yard field goal.
All right, hang on. I let you talk. Hang on. So get it close. Get as close as possible. Set it up, and then make it. Because look, 3 things can happen on a kick. It's not guaranteed. A, bad snap. B, bad hold. 3, bad kick. And 4, why? Even when Gurley did score, the defense was pathetic. They let him go 75 yards in 64 seconds to win it. And then the Lions had to try a 48-yard extra point because they had a personal foul after they scored. And what did the Falcons do? If that 48-yard extra point attempt was not made, they would have had another one because there was an illegal procedure penalty on Atlanta.
Yep.
Guys,
Exactly.
This was a game of both teams that are struggling, one worse than the other, and that one lost. But let me tell you something. The coaches here's the problem. You can run the ball and run down the clock. You take 3 knees, you've got a longer field goal attempt. So you can get as close as you can. It's Gurley's fault. He said it was his fault. He got half-heartedly tackled.
In public, he's going to say that.
In private, he said it. He said it in the locker room.
That's not private. Privately, when nobody else, no media, none of us hear about it. That's privately.
He said it privately in the locker room when no media was in there. That's what I'm trying to tell you. Matt Ryan said the loss was on the players.
Sure. You can say that all you want to, because I think publicly they're backing up for their new interim coach. Why? I don't know why you even put your players in that position. If we all agree, look, here's the deal. You're right. You could botch a snap. They could block it. You could miss it. You could do whatever. But guess what? It's a 20-something yard field goal, 30 under 35-yard field goal, even with the knees. Younghoe Koo has missed one field goal. That was
it doesn't matter. It can still happen.
But guess what?
Loss is on the players.
Coach, hold on. Field goal, any of those 3 or 4 bad scenarios, because I put my players in the best position to win the game. Hello, you play to win the game. And any form of anything else other than running out the clock when the team has not one timeout. And Matt Stafford's on the other end, one of the best of all time of coming back on the other end and getting a W. You don't do that. Now let's go back to some flashbacks. In this series alone, you flash back to London. Matt Prater hits a 50-something or 60-something yard field goal to win the game. In 2017, the 10-second runoff. So
in a perfect world, in a perfect world, the coaching scenario that I put out
either wins or loses you the game right there.
The defense blew it. They let him go 75 yards in 64 seconds with no timeouts, period.
I'm not disagreeing with you there. But can you agree with me there that if we do run my scenario, you take the worst defense in the league out of it? You have to agree with me there. If you run
the ball 3 times and you're short of the goal line, you take the worst defense out of it. There's nothing wrong with running the ball
there. You do. But if you're not trying to score, why are you trying to run the ball forward when you have 9 yards to do so?
The longer the field goal attempt, the higher percentage it is to miss.
17-yard field goal attempt from right there. 17 yards.
Hey, they wanted to get down to the one and they wanted a real chip shot.
But when you're not playing the game here, you still haven't answered my question. You're deferring. If you use my scenario or your scenario where you run the ball and don't score 3 times, you take the defense out of the game. That's coaching. That's coaching. I don't care what you do. In my opinion, I would run 3 knees. That's it.
Let's talk about this series. All right, let's go ahead and shift gears here. We agree to disagree. That's fine.
Well,
Detroit leads the all-time.
I want to hear Wayne's thoughts.
I've got a final thought on this whole thing. They spent a lot of time, those players, in the Dan Quinn system. And I think in that system, those players may have developed a lot of bad habits because they didn't really care for Dan Quinn. And so over time, they developed these habits of not playing the game, thinking ahead in the game. So that's one part of it. The second part is that Morris, has he ever been a head coach in the NFL?
Yes, he's been a head coach with Tampa Bay, number 1. Number 2, they love Dan Quinn. Matt Ryan is still hurt that he's gone. A lot of the players are hurt that he's gone. Well, people have short memories.
But you still got to play ball.
Yeah, right. You have a short memory. A few years ago, they were in the Super Bowl, and he was the head coach.
Yeah, I still think that there's a combination of things that led to this outcome. And if we would have taken away any one of those things, I think they would have had a different result. But
absolutely,
things being what they are, I really don't think that Morris is going to be the head coach simply because it's rare. I think it's rare that an interim coach becomes the head coach because I think they're looking for something bigger and something to draw the fans back in.
At the professional level,
there's no doubt.
At the college level, you see interns take over all the time. Yeah. Barry Odom did it for I can't forget the gentleman's name from Missouri, who Barry Odom succeeded. He was an interim coach, and then Barry got the job. So Dana Holgerson, same thing.
Same thing in Memphis when
in West Virginia when. Rich Rod left West Virginia. They interim head coach Dana Holgerson. He got the job. So it happens at the college level a lot. Not at the pro level. Wayne, you're right there.
All right.
Gentlemen, Detroit leads us all time.
Great banter back and forth.
Detroit leads all time this series 25-13. The last 3 times that Detroit has played Atlanta, all the games have been gone down to the wire. We know about yesterday on 9-24-17. Detroit was within a half a yard and winning it at home. They lost 30-26. And then, of course, on October 26, 2014 in London, the Falcons were up 21-0, and Detroit won it on a field goal 22-21.
Absolutely.
And guess what? Guess what? The Falcons made a penalty on the play, and Detroit got another kick.
And that's what I was talking about earlier. It was like a 60-yard kick, and then he missed it. Then it was like a 59-yard kick, and he made it. It's something ridiculous.
No,
it's crazy.
It wasn't.
And then it was the 10-second runoff in 2017 where Detroit didn't even get a run play. So that's why I said either way it was a long field goal, and he got two opportunities.
And it was a sloppy game. Detroit on their first touchdown, the 3-yard run by DeAndre Swift. There was a questionable roughing the passer called against the Falcons. I actually don't think it was. There was also, the Falcons had 12 men on the field. Stafford told the coaching staff midway through the 4th quarter, and the Lions stayed on the field, but they missed a 46-yard field goal. All in all, it was a sloppy game. The statistics all proved out pretty even, but the Falcons made one more mistake than the Lions, and that's what decided it. And, when you look at this rivalry, like I said, Detroit leads the series 25-13. Point score, Detroit 852, Atlanta 796.
Yeah.
This is a close rivalry for a 25-13 lead. Yeah. That means Atlanta won some of these games going away.
Well,
But these are two teams that, guys, they're very familiar. They're like cousins, honestly. They're like cousins.
And I'm not taking anything away from you, TC. I know we had good back and forth, but all in all, it all comes down to either way, whichever way you would or I would, play defense, don't score a touchdown, coach better. They all come together on the field. It's a struggling city, a struggling franchise. They're reeling for anything. So, honestly, Detroit got the better of Atlanta. I mean, hats off to Stafford. Like I said, hats off to the defense on
you made an excellent point earlier about the talent and offense. It's the opposite on the defense. It showed on the last drive. It's shown all season long. They can't stop anybody when the game is on the line. That is the bottom line. Guys, we're going to go ahead and
I'll piggyback on that before we go real quick. I'll just say the players have the talent on the defensive level. You have first-rounders there. You got Keanu O'Neal, when healthy. You have Ricardo Allen, who's been a Pro Bowler, not a first-rounder. But you have Dante Fowler, first-rounder. And then you have Pat McKinley on their first-rounder. So you got talent on the defense. It's just a head-scratcher to me all around. It's crazy.
They don't get to the quarterback. They make too many mistakes in the secondary. On and on and on. It is definitely a player problem overall, and they showed it on the last drive. We're waiting for Dave Cohen, the voice of the Georgia State Panthers, here on ATL Prime Sports. He'll talk to us about our Panther talk this week about the win over Troy and the upcoming game over Coastal Carolina. We should hear from Dave momentarily. He'll be calling in shortly. So anyhow,
hey, I had a question about Stafford.
Yeah, go ahead.
He played at Georgia, right?
Yes, that's correct.
How many comebacks did he do at Georgia?
I know he had one in the Peach Bowl against Virginia Tech. That was probably his sophomore year. Didn't have many. He lost the game his freshman year against Colorado. Well, he didn't lose it. Joe Cox came back in and won the game as a backup player. So the only one I remember off the top of my head is the Peach Bowl against Virginia Tech.
Okay.
Well, we have Dave Cohen on the line, the voice of the Georgia State Panthers, on our weekly Panther Talk. Dave, welcome to ATL Prime Sports this evening.
What's up, Todd, JJ, and Wayne? How y'all doing?
Pretty good. Memphis doing pretty good.
Doing great.
Hey,
Glad Georgia State got the W.
Yeah, congratulations on that. I know that Troy is not necessarily the easiest place to go play.
No, it hasn't been for Georgia State. We've now beat them back-to-back years, beat them in Atlanta last year, and escaped Troy by the skin of our chinny chin on Saturday. That's not often that you allow the opponent to score on 2 pick-six plays and leave the stadium with a W.
Nope.
But that's what happened. And, we played pretty good football, for most of the afternoon into the evening. So now we're 2-2 and getting ready for what might be, well, not what might be, is one of the 2 best teams in the Sun Belt Conference.
Yep.
And that is the Chanticleers of Coastal Carolina. I would say right now, obviously, that the 2 best teams, even having seen Louisiana Lafayette, that obviously nothing to shake a stick at. Coastal Carolina is 5-0. Coming off a 28-14 win over Georgia Southern this past week. And then, of course, you got to look at Appalachian State, even though they lost a couple of games there to COVID-19 issues. Watching their game against Arkansas State last week, they looked impressive as well. Looked like they did not miss a beat during the time that the program was, on the sidelines.
Dave, let's talk about the good and the bad for Georgia State this season. Obviously, Coates is leading the team in rushing with 378 yards. They have 949 yards as rushing as a team. They average 4.9 a rush. They have 917 passing yards, which to me shows tremendous balance. This is a team that, they've scored, 168 points, which is the 3rd most in the Sun Belt. They're scoring at 42 points a game. That would be the good. The bad is on the other side of the ball. They've given 156 points in 4 games, and they're allowing 39 points a game. Then you look at the opponent, which is Coastal Carolina. They're ranked 5-0, ranked 20th in the country, and their defense is averaging 21 points a game, only 108 points in 5 games, and then their offense is averaging, they're lighting it up. So in 5 games, they've even scored more points a game than Georgia Southern. Of course, they played one more game. But the point is, how is Georgia State going to win this ball game if their defense is giving up that many points a game?
Well, this could very well be like the game we saw at Arkansas State a couple of weeks ago. You put 52 up on the board, you think you're going to win the football game, but you give up 59. This could be a game that's similar to that. I mean, I'd be shocked when, like you said, you just ran down a lot of the numbers. I'd be shocked if they come in here as well as they're playing and as well as we've been able to put points up on the board. If this is what we term a low-scoring game, 14-7 or 17-14 or 21-14, something like that. I mean, this game is going to be more than likely into the 40s, high 30s, into possibly the 40s, between these two teams. I mean, Georgia State, as you pointed out, good numbers on the offensive side. Interestingly enough, the Sun Belt Conference Defensive Player of the Week is a Georgia State kid, Jordan Strawn, who had a really nice game at Troy and really, came up with some of the key plays. He had 4 tackles, 2.5 for loss, but he had 2 fumble recoveries and actually 3 tackles for loss, 3 sacks, and 2 fumble recoveries. He was all over the field. The key to it, and I don't know whether you guys have heard this or if you saw the Georgia Southern game, but Grayson McCall, who's one of the top young quarterbacks in the Sun Belt Conference, did not play against Georgia Southern. I'm not exactly sure what the nagging injury is, but the early report from Conway, which is just over there at Myrtle Beach, is that he will not be available for the Georgia State game on Saturday, which they don't miss a beat because Fred Payton started against us last year. He's a Metro Atlanta kid. And, against Georgia Southern, he threw for 252 yards, 3 touchdowns, was intercepted twice. I mean, they put 28 on the board against Georgia Southern, and I'm sure Georgia Southern, with the way they run their offense, slowed things down a little bit. It probably wasn't as up and down as the game this Saturday might be. But they won't miss a beat with Fred Payton. And, again, I think there's going to be a lot of points scored in this football game. That's one of the things you've seen in a lot of these Sun Belt games. They've been high-scoring affairs.
Very high-scoring.
You know what, Dave? If I may say, Grayson McCall, he's the pass efficiency leader in the Sun Belt. Grayson McCall is. That's a big loss if he can't play this Saturday. I mean, I know that the other quarterback was very effective, but he's thrown for 11 touchdowns and just 1 interception with 930 yards. And then, Fred Payton played well, but he's not on McCall's level. And from what I understand, McCall's injury was a shoulder injury.
Yeah, no, you're right. But Payton, it's not like he hasn't been the starter before. He's been in this role before. It's nothing new. So he's not coming in headlights. He's run this offense now for a couple of 3 years, and so he'll come into Atlanta as cool, calm, and confident as I'm sure he was, this past weekend in their win over Georgia Southern. You mentioned Destin Coates for us. He had missed the 3rd game, rushed for 150, 113 in his first 2 games, missed the game at Arkansas State. When we saw Tucker Gregg run the ball so well, but he did come back this past Saturday.
3rd straight
and they
game.
Exactly, JJ. Carried the ball 25 times, 115 yards. So he's played 3 games, and he's been over 100 yards all 3 of these games. So it's great to have him back. And like we were talking with Coach Elliott earlier today on his Zoom press conference, a number of different running backs that Georgia State can throw at opponents, whether it's Destin, who has some maneuverability, or whether it's Tucker Gregg, who's very much a power runner. Tucker runs over people or into people, not necessarily looking to run around people. And then you've got some speed with Jamias Williams, the transfer from South Carolina, who initially came over to be a DB, but has found himself in the role of a running back. And then you got Marcus Carroll, who's a freshman, who, along with Jamias, they're easily probably the 2 fastest guys in the running back. So, and then you got Seth Page, who's trying to work his way back from injury. So, a number of options for Coach Elliott to be able to, throw different running backs who bring different things to the field at various times during the game.
You're listening to Dave Cohen right here on ATL Prime Sports, voice of the Georgia State Panthers. Catch him at GA State Voice on Twitter. Dave, Roger Carter, wow, what a game, career game it seems like. 7 of his 11 receptions on the season last weekend against Troy. That seemed to me to be the difference of the game. That was my first question. I'll ask another one when you're done. Answer.
I was going to say, if you go back and watch some of the highlights, which I see the highlights because they always want the radio calls to put in with the highlights. Cornelius Brown on at least one of those touchdowns, it's really a soft toss. Just the way he floated that ball into the end zone. It's a little nerve-wracking for about 2 seconds because you think a DB is going to jump up and intercept it. Exactly, JJ. But he floated it right into Roger. Roger had a really good night, 7 catches, 72 yards, and the 2 touchdowns. And, there had been a little bit of talk just amongst us on the radio crew that, that we weren't really targeting the tight ends as much or as often as maybe we did a year ago in the first 3 games. Aubrey Payne, really has not been a factor so far. And he was an impact guy last year. He only had 13 catches, but 6 of them went for touchdowns. And Roger Carter, obviously, he's been in the program now for a number of years. And, so between those 2 and the guys they've got coming in and that they're grooming behind them, tight end, again, another one of those solid positions on the offensive side of the football. But, yeah, Roger had a really, really good game on Saturday, catching those 2 touchdown passes.
Absolutely. Just want to change gears real quick, get some basketball news. What's the latest with the men's basketball? Is it scheduled to start on time? Everything looking good for men's basketball season?
Yeah, so what I've learned to this point, and we still do not have the non-conference portion of the schedule, although I think the game at Georgia Tech is going to remain on the schedule. Our 3 Power 5 games that were on the original schedule were at Georgia Tech, as Todd knows, at Michigan, and at Kentucky. I'm not sure about anything other than I've been told, for obvious reasons, the schools are separated by about 4 miles, that Georgia State and Georgia Tech will play a non-conference game this year. But I don't know anything yet about any of the others, how many we're going to play. Normally you play 10 or 11, to go along with your 18 conference games. So you're playing, 28, 29 games a year, not counting your conference tournament, and then not counting any postseason tournament that you might go to. But I've heard some schools are playing as little as 4 to 5 non-conference games. And I'm sure there are some schools that are trying to schedule their 9, 10, 11 non-conference games, if that is possible. But as far as the Sun Belt, I believe, has gone back and reconfigured their conference schedule. It totals 18 games. And the way they're doing it is right now the East will play the East and the West will play the West. So, obviously making an effort to limit travel. So there will not be bus trips or airline trips to Texas, Louisiana, and Arkansas for Georgia State. We'll keep everything on the eastern half of the Sun Belt Conference, which makes sense, for this.
Absolutely.
For where we are right now.
Absolutely. And that's what I was looking, because I was looking on the schedule today. I was like, man, it's still up in the air. I'm going to ask Dave.
Yeah, I think that they have not officially released it yet, but I think that it will come out either sometime by the end of this week or obviously sometime next week. I just think it's taking some schools. Not everybody's on the same schedule as far as getting those non-conference games locked in. So I think they're trying to wait till everybody is close to being solidified with their entire schedule, or they'll just come out and say, hey, here's what we're doing in the Sun Belt for schedule. Schools are still working on their non-conference schedules, and those will be released at a later date.
Yeah.
Well, Dave, this game coming up here against Coastal Carolina, if Georgia State has any thought or any dreams of winning the conference, this is the must win, because if you can do that and if you get into a tiebreaker situation, you would have the tiebreaker over Coastal Carolina, and also, 2-2 overall. You want to stay at 500 or above to get that bowl berth this year.
Sure, you've heard the saying a million times, our destiny is in our own hands, right?
Right.
So in the next 4 to 5 weeks, we've got right now the two best teams or two of the three best teams in the Sun Belt, on our schedule. We've got Coastal Carolina here this week, then Louisiana Monroe, they're 0-6.
Yeah.
But then we've got to go to Appalachian State. So if Appy and Coastal are the two best teams in the East, and Georgia Southern is our final game of the regular season, as it has been now the last few years, you got Coastal, you got Appalachian State, you got Georgia Southern. Right down the stretch. As long as everything stays on the schedule and we don't have any virus interruptions.
Right.
Georgia State's got two of those games at home.
Yeah.
Coastal and Georgia Southern. So
that's really big.
You got an opportunity to get it done. Now going to Boone is not an easy task.
Right.
And
we all know that. I've done that trip a number of times.
Hey, you might have a snow game this year, Dave.
As I'm saying, sometimes you go up there and it's a beautiful fall football afternoon. Other times we've gone up there and it's been a driving snowstorm.
You might get one this year since they're playing later in the year. That'll be very interesting for sure. Dave, good luck this week. Tell the folks how we can listen to your call this coming up.
Well, if you're in Atlanta, local radio, 88.5 FM, WRAS. We'll be on up in Gainesville, WGTJ, 97.5 FM. And then both stations are obviously streaming, GeorgiaStateSports.com. And then, we live in a world of apps, right?
Right.
You can either download the Georgia State Athletics app to your iPhone or your Android or your iPad or whatever your device of choice is. Or you can always find us at TuneInRadio.com and TuneIn Radio app on the iPhone.
I'll tell you what, Dave, I did a high school game 2 weeks ago. It was Central out in Carrollton. It was a home game for them. Northwest Whitfield came in, the 6th-ranked team in the state. This kid, Narada Levitt, ran for 430 on 47 carries and 4 touchdowns. It was the 8th best rushing day in Georgia high school football history. That was something that was pretty fun to be part of, just a little bit of part of, just calling it. I mean, 47 carries.
Sounds like they didn't do much of anything else but just hand that kid the football all night.
I knew his carry mark was above 40. We don't have stats during the broadcast, but 47 and ran for 430. I mean, it was just an incredible evening, beating a good team, and sometimes you run into history a little bit. Maybe Georgia State, maybe Coates will run in some history against Coastal Carolina this week because, Coastal Carolina's already had great wins. They had, I don't know if Kansas is a great win, but they did beat a Big 12 team, and then, of course, they beat the Raging Cajuns. Well, true, but they're just, down on their luck. They're winless this season. But, hey, maybe Coates will have that career day, Dave, and next time this week, the Panthers will be victorious.
Yeah, Coach was
nice.
100.
It would also be the first time. Again, I understand that this is a COVID-19 season. But this is an opportunity to take out a top 20 ranked team in college football. Now, you and I both know that if everything was normal, Coastal Carolina, even at 5-0, would probably not be ranked in the top 25. The Kansas win was nice. Don't get me wrong. I am not taking anything away. That was a great win for the league. But that doesn't necessarily – now, I'm talking if the Pac-12 and if the Big Ten, if everybody's playing.
Well, now the Big Ten is.
Right, they are now. But I'm saying, this is not a normal schedule.
Correct.
You know what, Dave? If they keep winning – I think they're going to stay in the top 25 this pandemic season. There's not a lot of great football in the Pac-12 that we haven't seen in a while. Maybe Oregon's good. Maybe USC is good. Maybe Arizona State is good. But Coastal Carolina, if they win out, who knows what can happen this year? Let's hope they don't. Let's hope Georgia State beats them on Saturday. But you never know.
Todd and Dave, we got the Chanticleers are a top 10 team to Tim Brando now. They're top 10.
Yeah,
more than Tim Brando.
Yeah, I don't know that I'd go quite that far. They're good. Don't get me wrong. They're good, but
they're good.
You and I both know it's tough for a Sun Belt to get in the top 25 under
Right.
normal circumstances.
Right.
Well, he's basing it upon all the games that they played thus far in their body of work, and I get that. But do I think they're better than my Wolverines after them thumping some Golden Gophers on Saturday? No way, no how. But you never know on any given Saturday. I mean, we've already lost Appalachian State, so there you go.
Right. One of the most monumental games in FCS history.
Yes, just keep reminding me every time you come on, Dave, for that Sun Belt Panthers report every week.
You
That'll be
brought
awesome.
it up.
I did. I did. But you know what? It makes everybody smile, so why not? So you never know. I mean,
that's funny.
Any given Saturday. I mean, hey, you know, JJ's still hurting from the thumping Alabama gave Georgia in the second half. So, you know.
My dog's tails are still tucked.
Yeah.
And I've said, too, you'll start, you know, I'm not saying that, you know, Michigan's going to lose to an FCS every week. But, you know, when it comes to parity in college football,
it's a lot different.
And really college basketball, too. This new rule, which I know you probably don't have time to talk about it, but allowing NCAA student athletes one free transfer, you're going to see, you know, players who are sitting on the bench who are really, really good players, but sitting on the bench at Power 5 programs like they've done before, but maybe now at an elevated pace, transfer into the group of 5,
right?
Transfer down to FCS because they want to play.
I can't blame them. I think you're right, Dave. I think it's going to happen more often than we think. We're getting a lot of parity in college football. Yes, I would say Alabama and Clemson right now are the 2 best teams in the country, but Ohio State is right there. And then I think maybe Georgia. It's too early to tell. Then after that, there might be a drop-off. Who knows?
Right. What I'm saying is you'll see, you know, again, it's not going to be to the level of an Appalachian State, Michigan.
Right.
But, you know, as the group of 5 and as FCS over the next couple of years, get some of that talent that siphons down from the Power 5, kids that are not playing but are really good players. We're going to see the group of 5 and some of these FCS programs get a little bit better because their talent level is going to go up.
Hey, Dave, I'm going to ask you a question, and JJ and Wayne, you guys can get on this too. Why not? Let's just keep them on a little longer. It's not that big of a deal. I've got guys. I saw the Indiana game, and you see these players on the sideline. They're wearing masks, and some of the players are. The ones that aren't playing are wearing masks. The coaches are wearing masks. And then you see them in the locker room. Nobody's wearing a mask. And Tom Wilson, the Indiana coach, what did he do? He dove into his players, and nobody was wearing a mask, and they were celebrating their upset win over Penn State. I just think it's, cosmetic theater.
I'm sure nobody was thinking about a mask when the final buzzer sounded, and they knew once they knew that they were going to beat Penn State.
Yeah.
Any sort of a face covering was the last thing any of them were thinking about.
Exactly. Hey, the Lions did it too in the locker room this Saturday when they beat the Falcons. Nobody was wearing a mask. I mean, they showed their celebration too. It's you know, I don't know what to say. Once again, I think it's cosmetic theater.
When you play 60 minutes of mouth-to-mouth,
mouth-to-mouth.
I mean, you know, knocking someone in the head-to-head, helmet-to-helmet, body-to-body, all of it.
Right. Nobody's getting COVID
flying,
from playing
that's
football.
what I meant. Spit's flying, blood's flying.
Well, those guys are all supposed to be in a bubble anyway, right?
Right.
I said that about the NBA. We're watching NBA games, and they've got the benches all spread out, and the players that are not in the game are wearing them. Why? They were in an NBA bubble for how many months?
You're seeing the World Series, Dave. They're all wearing masks in the dugout, and they're in a bubble. I don't get it.
They're tested daily, exactly. It's
cosmetic theater. So, well, Dave, thanks so much for coming on this week. We do appreciate it. And hopefully we've got a Georgia State win next week. That would really be awesome.
That'd be something.
That would really be nice. It would really throw some momentum into the program. Sean Elliott, by the way, before you guys let me go,
sure. Go
Sean
ahead.
Elliott got a contract extension that will keep him through 2025 at Georgia State, which is a great move. I mean, he's been fantastic for Georgia State since arriving here 4 years ago. So,
what's McCall's chances of playing on Saturday? Do you know at all?
What I saw today said more than likely no.
Oh, hey, there you go. And he had some big loss.
That could be a decoy too.
That could. You're right. That could be a decoy.
In college, you're right.
Georgia State.
Anything goes.
Georgia State spends all week at practice getting ready for Fred Payton, and then 5 minutes before kickoff, McCall comes trotting out on the field ready to play.
Yeah.
Hey, there you go. It's 2020. Dave, thanks so much for coming on as always. We really appreciate it.
Oh, yeah, appreciate it. Appreciate you guys having me, and we'll talk to you next week.
All right, that's Dave Cohen on Panther Talk here on ATL Prime Sports, the voice of the Georgia State Panthers. And we don't have masks on. This is no cosmetic theater here. We've got the producer, Wayne, in Memphis, JJ, my sidekick on the other side of the ATL. I'm Todd Corder here on ATL Prime Sports. You want to tweet us, you can tweet me at Corder Todd, Wayne at RWY Jr., and JJ get you one. And, of course, all of us at ATL Prime Sports. So, all right, Wayne, go ahead and take it away for the next topic, my friend.
Well, this one's going to be something. People are talking about Deion Sanders from Jackson State being the new head coach for Atlanta Falcons, and they're saying Morris is not going to stay. I don't think Morris is going to stay. I'm not sure Deion Sanders is ready to be a head coach.
Go ahead. No, tell us why. Tell us why.
Well, I don't think he's had enough time doing the head coach job and getting used to everything that's around it. And especially he's at a college level now, and it's very different in the NFL. He's been a player in the NFL, but being on the coach and the staff side versus the player side is a whole different thing. And I think if he were an assistant coach somewhere in the NFL for any length of time, he would have a better chance of becoming a head coach in the NFL.
For most people, I agree with that. I'm not so sure with Deion Sanders, as he calls himself Coach Prime, but I do get where your thought process is, and in most cases it would be correct. Let's see how he does this year at Jackson State, an HBCU school. Yeah. Maybe he's going to stay there a few years, maybe a year. You never know with Coach Prime, as he calls himself. He is on prime time. He is prime time. If he was the head coach of the Indiana Falcons, I think if they had any kind of squad, the tickets would be flying off the shelves, gentlemen.
Well, that harkens back to the days of Jerry Glanville, though.
Sure does, doesn't it, JJ?
Man, those were the good old days when you had Prime and Brett Favre on the same roster, or should I say Favre, as he was drafted.
And Andre Rison.
I think here's the deal. It's awfully intriguing if Deion Sanders knocks his job out of the park in the spring. I'm talking Jackson State goes unbeaten or upsets the big boys, makes a big splash in the playoffs or the Celebration Bowl, and wherever they get to. I'm not familiar with Jackson State's conference right off the top of my head, but if he knocks it out the park, you're talking about one of the greatest college football players and NFL players, football players, period, of all time. Like TC said, I think it would get some buzz. But I'm with Wayne. I don't know if he's gotten that experience yet and the grind work to be a football coach at the biggest level. And to cross-reference sports, look at Steve Nash, great player, got the head coaching gig in New York, I believe, Brooklyn. So does that make a difference? Is it a sport thing? I don't know. That's the best analogy I can use. I'm not 100% against it, only if he knocks it out of the park. Otherwise,
well, thinking of knocking out of the park, he's knocked it out of the park with his staff, which includes former players Terrell Owens, Warren Sapp, Dennis Thurman, Mario Edwards, and Jason Phillips. From that group, Phillips and Thurman have the most extensive experience, which makes sense with their role and as coordinators. So if these guys all do very well, don't think he couldn't bring his staff with him on a professional level. And Wayne, I'm intrigued. You're intrigued. JJ's intrigued just because it's Deion Sanders. Well, and guys, don't even. It's not going to happen. But we can throw it out for fun.
Probably not.
But you got to include the Dallas Cowboys in this Jerry Jones with Jerry World and what's going on over there, and unfortunate mess that Mike McCarthy is in Dallas with the injury to Dak. And
let's do one more scenario on this Dallas Cowboys topic real quick. Do you guys think Mike McCarthy is there at the end of the year if the trend continues the way the Cowboys are now? Because they are in the weakest division. 6-7 wins may win that division.
Hey, the Lions would be in first place if they're East right now.
Exactly. So do you think Mike McCarthy, because they're already on the the 4-letter and 3-letter news networks, they're already calling for McCarthy's head sometimes.
That's insane.
Yeah, I agree. I think McCarthy's won a Super Bowl. I think he lost his best quarterback. I think you have
he lost Andy Dalton. He lost Andy Dalton.
Exactly. But not to mention, I mean, Dak Prescott was lights out. He was leading the NFL in passing at the time he went out. So I think that's something. Again, you mentioned the coaching carousel, just kind of a little point put in there.
I'm actually glad you mentioned it because I think Mike McCarthy's definitely there at the end of the season. I'm not sure Mike Nolan, his defensive coordinator's there. They're going to make assistant coaches changes if they don't win this division. Even though they have a chance, the Eagles are leading it at 2-4-1. As they would say on the movie Sandlot, you are killing me, Smalls.
Yeah.
I mean, good Lord.
How can I have some more if I haven't had any?
Yeah.
Well, we've all had more, and it's not much of any. Your biggest significant of the win of the year was the Atlanta Falcons, and they don't have any neither. They have one win, and that's it.
Watch this. The last time an under 500 team made the playoffs, we all know what happened. Beast Mode had the Quake run where an earthquake was triggered in Seattle against New Orleans. So it has happened. Bad teams have gotten in the playoffs and made runs before. But man, this is all-time bad.
Guys, Ben DiNucci is set to start for the Dallas Cowboys on Sunday. 23 years old, 6'2". Oh, Andy Dalton's not playing. He's got a concussion. I don't think he's going to play.
Whacked. That was a pretty good shot.
He's passed for 39 yards. And, no touchdowns, no interceptions. He's out of
39 yards more than us.
Right, and but we don't know anything about him. He's just 23 years old, 6'2", 215, out of James Madison University, and now he's going to start for the Dallas Cowboys on Sunday. And guess who the Dallas Cowboys opponent is? Guess who it is? It's so appropriate. It would be the Philadelphia Eagles on Sunday Night Football.
On Sunday Night Football. Battle
who can see that happen? I hope he lights it up because everybody's telling me he stinks without even playing it down. And everybody, all the experts are going, Cowboys stand no chance. Well, if they're able to run the football and run Zeke Elliott and keep the Eagles defense off the field, they do stand a chance. I'm not sure how good of one, but they do stand one. But let's go back to Deion Sanders and the Falcons. That's another team you consider. Well, I don't think he has a shot at coaching the Cowboys. McCarthy's going to be there, but we just threw it out there for the fun of it. He would have much more of a chance in Atlanta. But to be honest and serious, Eric Bellamy, or a coordinator, the offensive coordinator out of Kansas City, or they're going to go with a big name head coach, and it's not going to be at the college level. It's not going to be Dabo Swinney. They're not getting Trevor Lawrence. Don't start down this yellow brick road path with me. You're going to do it, aren't you? Go ahead.
No, I want Rex Ryan. As a Falcons fan, I want a defensive coach. I want someone, another try at a defensive coach. I want to be able to hang my hat as a fan when it's 3rd and 6, 3rd and 7. I want to be able to hang my hat on a defense that can get off the field. Rex Ryan a shot. Personally,
he's had a shot. I'm sorry.
And
he did a decent job with the Jets
2 years in a row with the sloppy quarterback.
But look, I would rather give the offensive coordinator of Kansas City a shot. This is an offensive game today.
I'll say that, but I'll say this. Bellamy hasn't dealt with a non-scrambling quarterback. That's what Matt Ryan is. He doesn't scramble. Bellamy has not dealt with that.
What do you
dealt with
call Alex
scrambling.
Smith? What do you call with Alex Smith before?
Much more mobile than that, Ryan. Much more mobile than that, Ryan. Now,
Right.
after the leg injury, probably not. But you get my drift. Alex Smith has been seen running read options as late as his career in San Francisco, period. He has run quarterback read option plays.
It's not going to happen.
Usually have mobility. I like a defensive coach. Wayne, you're a fan. You're a Falcons fan.
And in today's football world, I like the offensive guy, and that's the way it is.
What say you? You're a Falcons fan. Who do you want as an interview? Who? What name do you want to throw in the hat?
I haven't even thought of a name. I would hope they would hire somebody who is an offensive-minded head coach. So, because I like that type of game from a fan's perspective.
It's about offense today. I will say this from JJ's perspective. Who's played the best defense in the NFL and has the best record? The Pittsburgh Steelers. Maybe some things never change. I do agree with that. We shall see. Let's go on to the last. Let's go on to the next to last topic. We're running a little bit behind, but that's okay. Go ahead, Wayne.
It's the Dogs. Georgia is playing Kentucky this weekend. Kentucky had a really good game against Tennessee, but then a lot of people have. So, what do you think about the Dogs' chances at Kentucky?
I've got a great stat, JJ. Stetson Bennett will start. They announced it. Listen to this, JJ. I'm doing this early, but I don't care. Beginning in 1947, Georgia's been favored for 30 out of 34 games in Lexington. Only 5 times the Dogs were favored by 14 points or more. 2012, 26. 2004, 24. 1982, 21.5. 1967, 21. 16, 1996. And you know what? They're favored by more than 14 points now. And you know what I say to that? Good. Run the football and run them off the field.
Yeah, I don't have any love for Kentucky, so I don't care if they blow them out.
They got to run the football, JJ. They got to run the football.
Got to establish. You can't let the mailman make all these throws. He is a good quarterback. He's going to get the start. He played against the Bama D that finally got together. So I think you're right. You got to run the football. Heavy dose of Milton. Kendall Milton has looked like the best back out of all 3. More Cook out of the backfield. We saw it against Bama in the first half for the 80-something, 90-yard touchdown pass. Longest I've seen in a long time as a Bulldog fan. So get the ball moving with Zeus, Milton. Use Cook out of the backfield on third downs. Make it easy on Stetson Bennett. You're right, TC. Run the ball.
There's no question about it. And Stetson and run the ball and play action pass. Get him to make, throw the ball to the backs in the flat, throw the ball to the tight end, throw some, do some jet sweeps, do some, your traditional screen, your screen to the sideline, do all this kind of stuff. But, you've got to make it simple. And first down to me for Georgia is the critical down, because we've seen against Alabama when it's second and third and long, they're in trouble. Chance. They've got to win first down. On the other side of the ball on defense, they ran into a juggernaut in Alabama offensively in the second half. They didn't play well. Let's see if the defense gets back on track. I want to see that Georgia defense that I know can play well.
And they can. They got beaten in the second half. They got torched. They had a bad half. But remember, overall, Georgia did lead more than they lost in that game. So it's crazy to think that they still lost that game by 17 points, I think you're right. I think this is a run-the-ball game. This is a momentum-building game. This was a game last year that Georgia needed to win in the driving rain. They beat Kentucky 21-0, got the momentum back going all the way to the SEC championship game. The Dogs' hopes are still alive, Dog Nation. If you're a Dog fan, you got to win out. You got to win your games. You got to beat Florida. But Florida's loss is huge. Tennessee has already lost a couple. So it looks like right now that Alabama loss isn't going to hurt you. Just take care of business down the road, and you're in the SEC title again. Everything's good in Athens.
Well, everything will be roses, but harder said than done. All right, Wayne, let's take us to our pick six, our final deal of the day.
All right, pick six. We get the first one is going to be number 5, Georgia at Kentucky. We just got done talking about that. They got Georgia.
Let's pick it.
14.5. I think Georgia's going to win, but I don't think they're going to cover.
Why?
Wayne's got Kentucky in the points.
Well, because they're going to be playing at Kentucky. It's going to outside, and I think it's going to be really cold. And I think Kentucky's going to play better at home in the cold. Then they're not going to win, but they're not going to. Georgia's not going to beat that spread.
No, them poor babies, bundle up. I've got the dogs covering by 3 touchdowns.
I got the
They
dogs
better win
too.
this game by
I think
a lot.
the dog pound's going to come out. They're going to be a little upset. Kirby's going to expect perfection from both sides of the ball. I think the special teams will make a play because Kyrus Jackson, number 10, leads the nation in kickoff return yards right now. That's going to be a big difference in the game.
And guys, I guess there is somewhat of a home field advantage today in the SEC because they actually have crowds in their games compared to the Big Ten where nobody's there but cutouts. Actually, it was hysterical, if I may say this for a minute. The cutouts in Minnesota had better seats than the fans of the kids that were playing and their friends. It was hysterical. The cutouts were sitting between the 40, and the rest of them were sitting from the 30 and beyond. And I'm going, what's wrong with this picture?
Well, speaking of Big Ten, we've got Ohio State at Penn State as our second pick six. I'm going to say Ohio State rolls over Penn State big time because to me, Penn State is overrated.
Well, based on the first game, guys, you could say that because, Indiana beat them, but Indiana's been a pretty good football team the last couple of years. But I think Ohio State covers, and like I said, there's no home field advantage in the Big Ten. Give me the Buckeyes and cover. What about you, JJ?
Yeah, I got the Buckeyes big. I think they'll win by 35 points going away. What I saw from Penn State is not enough. Indiana's good. Don't get me wrong; they're a good football team.
They are.
But that's another coaching blunder. Franklin's had a couple of those that lost them some close games over the past couple of years. I think Ohio State blows them out.
I'll take Franklin over a lot of coaches in college football.
I would too.
His record
Absolutely.
stands
I'm not disagreeing, but
Yep.
we can't minimize the fact that he has made some.
They all do. Every one of them do.
Everybody does.
What's the next game, Wayne?
All right, we get next game is Arkansas at Texas A&M. I would not want to be an Arkansas fan this weekend because Texas is really going to beat them, and I think they're going to bust that spread wide open. They got them, 10.5 A&M. I think they may go 21 points a win.
Ooh, big win. I'm going to take the Razorbacks in the points. Historically, Texas A&M, after a big win under Jimbo Fisher, has dialed it back a little bit, even under Kevin Sumlin. They beat Alabama. They lose the next week. Give me Arkansas on the points. I like A&M to win the game by a last-second field goal.
I like A&M to cover. It's at A&M. They'll actually have fans in the stands. Maybe A&M has something here. Arkansas's had a nice little ride being 2-2 because they hadn't won a conference game in forever. So I say A&M covers, but barely. Let's go to the next one, Wayne.
All right, NFL. Next 3 are NFL. We got Falcons at Carolina. I don't even know why we're talking about this game.
Hey, are you kidding me? It's ATL Prime Sports. We're required to.
I know, but
and it's Thursday Night Football. It's the national game of the WEAK. If you play in the Falcons, you're the game of the week. Not the WEAK.
Carolina's
Give me the
not
Panthers.
weak.
I'm gonna pick the Falcons to win because I'm a crazy Falcons fan.
I need to drug test you when this program's over. I'm taking Carolina.
All right, next
Carolina. Got the Panthers.
Nothing finer than getting spanked by. What are they saying? Nothing finer than getting spanked by Carolina.
Yeah. All right. Next game we've got Steelers at Ravens.
Christian McCaffrey might be back.
Yeah. All right.
I don't care. They'll beat him with or without Christian McCaffrey. It doesn't matter.
Yeah. The next game is Steelers at the Ravens, and for some reason they've got the Ravens picked 5 points. I'm going with the Steelers to win that game.
Well, I put the shirt on today, fellas. I'm absolutely putting Pittsburgh on. Are you kidding me? I got the Steelers to win. I got the Steelers not only
7-0.
Not only to cover this game, but I have them to win it. Who has the best defense in the NHL, JJ? Who always tells me the defense wins championships? So I agree with you. I've got the Bird.
All right.
I got to do that for my mother-in-law. Are you kidding me?
I've got the Dirty Birds, the Ravens. I'll tell you why. Lamar
the real
Jackson
Dirty Birds?
has been a pain in the side. Actually, my Dirty Birds this year are the Cardinals. I'm liking the Cardinals and jumping on this bandwagon. I like the way they play. But I'm taking the Ravens, the purple and black, Mark Ingram, questionable, Gus Edwards, J.K. Dobbins is going to take over the backfield. I think Lamar Jackson gets on track with Marquise Brown, maybe finds a deep ball or two, gets behind that defense you're talking about. I don't think Juju Smith-Schuster is going to be a factor in this game at all. I think the Ravens win this game by a touchdown.
Well, I guess Chase Pool will be, and they'll still win the game. That's the only game JJ and I have disagreed, which I'm going to have to take a shower when I'm done.
Yeah, all right.
Go ahead.
Well, we still got one more game to pick. We'll get Cowboys at the Eagles, and I still think the Cowboys are stumbling, so I'm going to pick the Eagles to win that.
You happen to cover?
Well, I don't see the spread is, but
it's 7.5.
Okay, well, I think the Cowboys will win. Not Cowboys. I think the Eagles will win by more than 7.
You're disappointing your dad here, Wayne. But
I know,
I understand.
I know, but listen, he's disappointed by the Cowboys too, so don't get too bent out of shape.
So just be disappointed in his kid.
The first place Cowboys. Come on.
Who are you taking, JJ?
I'm taking the Eagles big. I like Carson Wentz. I think Alshon Jeffrey could come back. Big wide receiver, made a lot of plays. I like Carson Wentz. Jalen Hurts has made some plays in sparing appearances as a quarterback too. I like the Eagles. And remember, if this Pat Benaducci, forgive me on his last name.
Yes, on James Madison University.
A 7th-round pick, FCS level. Don't know much about him, so I'm taking the Eagles to cover.
Well, The only thing I'm going to predict in this game is that the Cowboys are going to, if he is the starting quarterback and Dalton doesn't come back from his concussion, they're going to run Ezekiel Elliott like they ran Narada Levet for Central High School about 40-something times. They're going to run the kid out of Memphis. Your boy out of Memphis, Wayne, they're going to run him. They're going to run a fullback. They're going to line it up and run the football and play action pass and give Nuducci some stuff, easy stuff to throw. They're going to try to keep the defense off the field because it's porous. I guess what I'm getting to is this the hardest game to pick by far on the board. 7.5 is a lot of points. Oh, man. You know what? The Cowboys can do all they want. Now, if this kid plays a lights-out game, we're all going to look like idiots.
Well,
but I'm going to take Philadelphia to cover, but just by that much.
Yeah,
I think by 8 points.
If the only scenario in which I see the Cowboys winning this game is if a Hollywood screenplay writer has something to do with it.
Well, it's Dallas. Everything is bigger and better than Texas, and maybe Ben Danucci out of James Madison University. Maybe we'll see what he does. I mean, if Dallas can run the football, it's going to make whoever's under center a lot better. I mean, that's what you got to do to win this game. So, well, guys, we're all done. It's been an hour. Time is up. Thank you, guys, and I've enjoyed the show. I've enjoyed it, Wayne. I've enjoyed it, JJ. Wayne, thank you for all you do behind the scenes and.
Yes, thank you.
JJ, you're still a knucklehead. That the knucklehead thing about blaming it all on the coaches, but I know you're not blaming it all on the coaches, and I'm not blaming it all on the players, but I'm blaming more on the players for the Falcons than you are, and that's okay.
100% on the coach.
Yeah,
right, there you go. So coach is blocking, he's tackling, he's doing all that jazz. You kidding me? You're killing me, Smalls. All right, guys, that's the end of the show. I'm Todd Corder for JG on the other side of the ATL for Wayne in Memphis. Good night, everybody.
All right.
Same time, same place next week, folks. Get you one.
All right.